Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Confident, Energized, and Sexy Mama Show. This is Dorit Palvanov, your host. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope you've enjoyed listening to last week's episode with the interview I've had with Suzanne Bratton. I've had so many amazing messages, and um, the episode was really impactful on a lot of you guys. So I'm glad that it was helpful, and a lot of you said and commented that you liked the questions I've asked her, and it resonated with you. And this is all really, really amazing, and I'm glad that it resonates with you. So today's episode, I what I wanted to do is since I've changed the name and the concept of the show, and it's now is called the Confident, Energized, and Sexy Mama Show. I thought it would be a good idea to kind of get into alignment with you guys in terms of what I'm thinking, where I'm planning to go with this show, with the name, with the concept, with the theme and the topics that we are going to be covering here, so that you listen in and you decide if this is something that resonates with you or not. Because believe me, I know how it is being a busy mom, a busy woman, just a busy human. Although I don't like to use this word, I very much prefer to use the word full. So, as being a woman with a full life, I know you have a lot of other options, and the podcasting world is growing and it's exploding with really amazing, um, shows and topics and all of this good stuff. So, if you're here, I want this to be worthwhile for you. I want you to get the maximum benefit and value from what you hear, what you're learning here, what you're listening in here. And if there is anything else that you would like for me to cover, please let me know. Find me over at Instagram. So you can find me. I changed my handle as well. So it's no longer at Health Begins with Mom. Although I'm sure that if you search for it, it will still show me to you. But you can now search me up as at Dorit Palvanov Coaching. So my last name is Palvanov, and then the word coaching, and Dorit is spelled as Dorit. All right, cool. So let's talk a little bit about self confidence, how to become a confident, energized, and sexy woman. And what does it mean to me? What does it mean to you? And why does it even important? Why does it matter? So a lot of you know that I am a mama of three young girls. My daughters are 10, almost 8 and 3. And my experience of raising them is really it's really about raising me. I feel like I'm raising myself in the midst of raising them, because they're my teachers, when they have, excuse me, when they have, their experiences as girls, as kids. um, it's like I'm getting a second chance at my own childhood and remembering myself, how I used to be. Um, and so this entire the whole concept of confidence and energy and feeling alive as a woman, as a human being, really, it's a very intertwined process for me. And I sure that it is very similar to you too, especially if your kids are a little bit older, because raising them, um, and if you're like me, practicing, being a conscious parent, according to Dr. Shafali Tabari's philosophy, um, it's really a process of introspection and looking within and deciding, wait, am I being in full integrity with what I'm teaching them? Meaning, do I myself practice what I teach them, or what I teach them to do and what I expect them to do? Or am I just preaching, and they see the inconsistency inside of me? So that's not how I want to live. And so for me, I thought what we would do here, and hopefully this episode is going to be short. I did a little search online. I like to search the definitions of words and see what is the kind of official meaning behind the words that we use, in our daily life, and then bring it back to the topic that we are covering here on this podcast, which is really about inspiring women, wives, and mothers to prioritize themselves, take care of themselves, and understand that the body, mind, spirit connection is not just a concept that you should embrace to as a luxury, but actually it's a very important lifestyle choice. Right? It affects everything. It affects how you think, it affects how you feel, and it affects your physical body. So let's start with the word confidence. So from what I've found on Wikipedia, there are a few different meanings, but the ones that resonated with me is this. So the first one is, so the confidence is the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something. In other words, firm trust, right? Another definition is confidence is a feeling of self-assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities and qualities. So I think the second one is a little bit more along the lines of what my vision for myself as a woman and wife and a mother is, of knowing that my work and my being and showing up in the world, that I can take care of myself, that I am self-giving, I am fully capable of standing on my own 2 feet, and that I can rely on myself, that I can trust myself, right? So this is why I brought up the conversation of raising daughters. So if you are raising daughters, and I know a lot of you are raising girls, this is important, because our girls, and you know what, even if you think about it like generally, girls in this society are conditioned um to be quiet and not to stand up for themselves, right? Um, we don't enter the world with the sense of self-confidence, right? And no one has it all of the time. And just merely talking about it, it's not going to help us gain it, right? So it's not about talking about it, it's about practicing it. So it's almost, think about it, it's as the difference between talking about yoga or explaining how it feels after you practice it, or actually practicing it, right? It's a completely different experience. And as women, I find that we have particular difficulty developing the skill of self-confidence, and me included. Right? It's like a roller coaster. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you feel like, oh my gosh, I got this, and then other times you are in total self-doubt and you just want to hide. Now, you've heard me talk about this many times before on the podcast, about the fact that hormones are a huge player in this change, in the reason why we feel so different throughout our lives, right? It's like why it's a roller coaster. And it's because we have ovaries and we have periods and we are hormonal beings. And so a lot of the times, the way we eat and the way our lifestyle is really around, if we're really mindful and if we're really conscious about it, then we have to understand that what we're actually doing is we are choosing a certain lifestyle that will support the various fluctuations of our sex hormones, right? Um, as women, we instinctively focus on everyone but ourselves. This is how I think it's a combination of being conditioned to, for it in society, but also I think it's just physiological, it's biological as women, as humans who can bring other people into the world, as mammals really. This is a built-in biological skill that we have, right? Otherwise, how would we take care of this newborn, right? So I think it's a combination of both. And however, taking the time for self-development, it doesn't come naturally to any of us. I think it's regardless, whether you're a man or a woman. And like I said, as girls, you and I, we used to be girls, right? Young girls who grew up to be and developed to be women. But we are often encouraged to be passive as opposed to proactive, right? As opposed to being too daring or confident, right? Because after all, God forbid we threaten all those guys out there or the masculine force. So I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but this is just the way it is. Yeah, for better or for worse, this is how our society is built. I believe that um, there is benefit to understanding our strengths as as women and then as men, and making sure that each one is just doing what they're supposed to do because we are naturally just better at certain things. I think it makes life much, much easier, much, much simpler. And as you know, I practice, simplicity in my life as much as possible. And inside of my family unit, this is sacred to me. This is sacred to me. I really appreciate having, a partner, and together to co-create our life. Rather than saying, you know what, I'm strong, I'm fierce, and I can do it all, and I can do it all by myself, and I don't need you, and blah, blah, blah. So it's interesting, right? Because I've been asked on other podcasts before if I am a feminist. And feminism, I mean, again, I didn't want to dive into politics, but feminism is, at the very, very bottom of it, it is just a movement that promotes equality between the genders, I think. And of course, I would want my daughters, I want myself, I want my daughters to be treated equally, regardless from their gender, from their from their status, or from whatever it is. However, again, bringing it into the home unit, the clear division of responsibilities and the clear division of labor and the clear division of even skills and natural abilities, whether it's, my husband's abilities as a man and my abilities as a woman, as a female, they're different. Like, what are we doing pretending like it's not there? It is there. And so I don't want to ignore that. So I am a feminist to a certain degree, I guess, let's put it this way. So when it comes to confidence, it's really something that I feel like we have to consciously and mindfully to be working towards and channel it so that we can infuse our being with it, right? Because you know this. You turn on the television or you read the newspapers, and you're bombarded by examples of women with great self-confidence. I mean, some of the women that I look up to are Jennifer Lopez, and Beyonce, and Madonna, and Michelle Obama. Like, these women, when you look at them and when you read about them, and Brene Brown, they just exude this feeling of, I call it embodiment. Like, they're fully embodied in their being, right? They speak their truth, they show up in the world the way they believe that they were designed to, and they just, do their thing, you know, um, living amazing lives and honoring themselves, using their gifts. And to me, I look up to that. I think this is really amazing. Um, so the question is really, how do these women create the belief in self, this belief in self, so that they can push the limits of their abilities, right? How do they continue to try, even at the risk of public failure and humiliation? So if you ask them, I think the formula for self-confidence would likely include the following things. Excuse me. So number one is taking responsibility for yourself. I think this is the first and most important ingredient in self-confidence formula, right? When we are practicing to be women, wives, and mothers um, who want to feel confident, who want to feel embodied, who want to feel like we show up to our lives, first and foremost, we have to take responsibility. And understanding that it's us, that it's me, you, and only you, we can make new things happen in our lives. It's really the decision, right? If we wait for serendipity to provide us with good fortune or luck, or with, even with increased confidence, even if you do that with increased confidence, you'll be waiting for a long time. Believe me, I've been there. It's really about realizing that the path towards self-confidence is one that you have to choose and you have to travel, and no one else can do it for you. And it's the same, if you think about it. Our health journey is the same. Nobody can help. Nobody is going to go to the gym instead of you. Nobody is going to to cook those meals for you. Nobody is going to plan your meals for you. Nobody's going to do that. So in order to feel like you are showing up, like you are fully taking responsibility for yourself, it needs to happen. And then the feeling of confidence comes through the practice of those things. Another thing is to begin to experiment with life, right? To just try new things. I see my daughters do this all the time, and I do this myself also. Not so much now that I have the awareness, but I see my daughters do it, and hence I believe that as girls growing up, that's just naturally what we do. They kind of you know try different things in life, and then they make kind of like a conclusion about themselves, and then they believe that this is the truth, when in reality, no, like, you know nothing about yourself yet. Like, you haven't tried enough things in this life to make such big conclusion about yourself. So go out to dinners alone, take a class in an unfamiliar subject area. I don't know, you want to learn French, you want to learn Spanish, you want to learn Italian. Do that. You'll be surprised. I see my girls say this all the time. It's not for me, or I'm not good at this, it's BS. It's not true. Stop saying this to yourself, right? Teach yourself. I love how Marie Forleo talks about it, especially in her new book, this Everything is Figureoutable. She talks about how she learned this concept from her mom, who taught herself to be self-sustaining, self-sufficient, right? She taught herself how to repair stuff. And I remember growing up, I grew up with a mom who, and again, coming back to this division of responsibility, that's fine. Yes, it makes life easier. But having said that, it also is helpful to know that, listen, if whatever is broken in the house, I can fix it. Like I actually can. Rather than waiting for either my husband or hiring somebody to do it, we can actually do things on our own. It's really this ability to test your skills and your abilities at new endeavors. And I think personally that it's a wonderful way to learn that you can rely on yourself. And again, through this practice, the feeling of self-confidence is just intensified. Another thing is to develop an action plan and implement it, right? So this is another area of designing your life as opposed to just, drifting with life. So if there is an area for personal or professional development that you're interested in, you know that my niche is health, helping you in your health journey, really designing the life that would be the most sustainable, that will feel the most flowy in terms of how, in terms of like your day to day and how you show up for life. And understanding your female body is a big part of it, right? So determining those action steps that will take you there. There are a lot of women who do really well by journaling and planning and having those clear steps that basically outline the process of, how do I get from point A to point B. And when you see those steps on a timeline, and I do this with my clients as well, when I start working with them, so this is like point A, and I show them the progression of how they're getting in, within 6 months, within a period of 6 months, how they're getting from point A to point B, right? Because process and progression, it's not linear, especially for us women. And we're also so very different, but it's helpful to see those steps, right? And then when you implement those steps according to this plan, of course, no excuses. You have to be really disciplined here. And every step that you take and you will be successful at, it helps to boost your confidence. Another thing is acting as if, like pretending, right? Because think about it, if you put off taking action until you have confidence, you will never do it. It doesn't work that way. Confidence, it's the result, but it's not the means, right? In the field of psychology, we have to come to understand that by changing our behavior, we can change our feelings, right? Feelings are responses. So if you take action and you do so with a as if kind of attitude, as though you have confidence, the inward feeling, the true feeling of confidence, it will follow. That's just the way it is. It's actually a biological, physiological response. Because when we do things, when we're successful at things, we produce the hormone that is called dopamine, and dopamine helps us to feel really, really good, and hence confidence, the feeling of confidence, it follows that. And then the last thing is to find a mentor. If you know anyone who you look up to and they seem really confident to you, and you continue to take and you continue to see them take one new risk after another, and you see them growing and developing and becoming, right? You've witnessed their process of becoming. You've actually watched how they do this. Muster up the courage to ask them to meet with you, maybe for coffee, maybe, take them out for lunch, schedule a free conversation with them. Guys, that I offer this conversation too. It's 45 minutes. I call this a discovery call. And so I'm happy to do this for you. If you feel like, my life journey and my message resonates with you, just do it. Just muster up the courage, act as if, and do it. Don't just sit there and hide, because, like I said, point number one, you have to begin to take responsibility for yourself. Nobody else is going to do this for you, right? Most confident people are always happy to help. I mean, just from my own experience, and I've hired multiple coaches and mentors in my life, even before I've paid for their help, they were very willing to help me and answer my questions. So just remember that courage, it's an effort, it's a deliberate and continuous effort. And this is a skill. I believe it's a skill. And when you're diligent about it, it will follow. It will follow, right? It's not gonna just magically happen with age, or when the kids leave the house, or when kids become older, or when whatever. It's not just gonna magically happen, right? So stop telling yourself excuses. No more wishful thinking. If there is something in your life that calls for you, and it's like a little whisper that whispers in your ear, then just do it. Take responsibility with your life. Begin to experiment with some new things. Develop an action plan and actually implement it. Stick with it. Act as if. And if you're still struggling, then find a mentor and get them to help you. All right. So this is the confidence piece. In terms of feeling energized as a woman and wife and a mother, from the definitions that I've found, it's and again, this is from Wikipedia. So energized is to give vitality and enthusiasm to something. Another definition is, not definition, but similar words. Instead of energized, you can say enlivened, liven up, reignited, animated, vitalized, invigorated, activated, right? So being this woman that is dynamic, that is not passive, right? And energy follows this sense of confidence. When we are confident, then we are also energized. And then sexy, right? Being a sexy mama, being a turned on woman. You've heard me talk a lot about how, for me, this is kind of like the antidote to being sucked dry, to just being a dry human. And the worst thing that I can think of is being a dry woman. I mean, I think it's just terrible. It's terrible to be a dry man, but being a dry woman, I think it's even worse than that, because as women, we are the givers of life. We are the nurturers. We are the ones that that cultivate the happiness and the sense of togetherness, right? And in the home. And so for me, being a sexy woman, and I'm going to read you some definitions that I found. So the definitions are obviously with the sexual connotations. So the first one is sexually attractive or exciting. Second definition is being appealing. Third is to be sexually arousing. I mean, yeah, you could definitely take that twist. But for me, the words that resonate really, really deeply is exciting, stimulating, interesting, appealing, intriguing, seductive, desirable, alluring, inviting, passionate, right? So just living life being just turned on. And so these are, those things for me. I hope that, they resonate with you. Being a confident, energized, and sexy mama, it's really, I hope it's clear to you that this is not something you're born with. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Not that I know of. It's more of a deliberate process that you decide that you want to go through, right? It's like having this as a goal and then taking the necessary steps to get there. So that is what this means to me. Now, before I let you go, I wanted to mention two phenomenal books that I highly, highly recommend for you to read. The first one is called The Confidence Code by Katty Kay and Claire Shipman. It's about the science and the art of self-assurance, what women should know about confidence. So I highly, highly, highly encourage you to read that book. And then the other book is also written by Katty Kay. It's called The Confidence Code for Girls. So if you are a mom raising daughters, especially if they're in the preteen age, I highly encourage you to read this book. First of all for yourself, and then also hand that book. It's actually a great idea for a gift, I think, to give her to this book to read, just so that she starts. It's like planting a seed, Start planting the seed in her head so that she knows that the thoughts and the beliefs that are starting to resurface, along with the hormonal and physiological changes that she's going to go through, she needs to understand that this is sometimes it's just biology, or it's just physiology, to help her not to put meaning around it. Because in so many cases, and I remember my own experience, in so many cases, the meaning and the perception that we put on things is very often not in favor of confidence. It's actually, putting ourselves down. It's making ourselves more passive. And I think that this is why I think that girls, they need mentors so very much. And if this mentor can be their mom, I just think this is gonna be amazing. Like, it's gonna be the best solution ever, because then this information can be passed down from mother to daughter. And again, it's not about preaching it, right? It's actually about practicing it. So actually, now that I think about it, maybe it's a good idea for you to check out my Instagram page, my Instagram profile, because today I posted a picture, an image of myself, wearing a red blazer that I really like. Actually, you know what? Why don't I read it to you? I'm gonna read the post to you, so just to kind of put all this entire concept together so that it makes sense to you. Okay, so here's what I wrote, and then I'm gonna wrap it up, and I'm gonna leave you with a question. Okay, so this is what I wrote. Earlier this week, one of my daughters made a comment about herself that I couldn't just brush off. So she said, "I feel like I'm too much, mommy. Everyone is always talking at me and judging me for what I wear and what I say. Sometimes I just want to hide and not go anywhere." So I had to sit with this one and digest it a bit. The mama bear in me wanted to hug her in, keep her close by forever, and all the monsters at bay. And then I thought about how this pertains to me. I know that children express vulnerability at face value and often don't have an agenda behind their comments. But this one wasn't about my daughter. This one was about me. I've always thought of myself as a confident woman. I'm not afraid to do hard things, to take risks, public speaking, show up for the people I love, etc. These I have down. These are the things I've been conditioned for. One thing I'm still learning about is my female body and feeling good in my own skin. Since my parenting motto is modeling, I asked myself, what can I do in my own life to teach my daughter that while hiding might be comfortable in the short term, it will keep her from growing, evolving, and speaking her truth in the long run? See this red blazer? Okay, you guys, you'll have to go and see this blazer. It's really cute. Okay, so see this red blazer? I absolutely love it. It's been sitting in my closet for over a year. A year, you guys. It definitely sparks joy for me, but I don't wear it often. Why, you ask? Well, if I'm honest, it's because of the same fear my daughter expressed to me. Every time I reach for it, my mind races with, this is too much. It's inappropriate to dress like that as a Jewish woman, wife, and mother. You always have to stand out. You're so selfish, blah, blah, blah. So last night, my husband and I went out. I decided to wear my new denim skirt with a little flare that I've added to it for style and modesty, and my beloved red blazer as a declaration for my daughter and myself. And so here's the declaration. Your too muchness is in service of the divine. Stop hiding it, own it, wear it with confidence. So last night, I was probably the only one wearing such a vivid color. But you know what? I'm vivid and I love it. So that's the post. I have so many amazing comments on Facebook and Instagram, so thank you guys. And before I let you go, I have a question for you. I want to know, how do you define confidence? What makes you feel confident as a woman, wife, and a mother? I would love to know and hear your thoughts on this question. It's really important for you to sit with it and ponder. So find me over at Instagram. So at Dorit, Dorit Palvanov, Palvanov coaching, all one word. At Dorit Palvanov coaching. Find me over at Instagram. Send me a message and let me know. You can also find me over at Facebook. So just by my first name, Dorit Palvanov, and let's talk about it. It's super important for us to start this conversation, have the awareness, and then think about the plan of action and how we're going to get there so that we ourselves, we as moms, as women, we can become, the women that we desire so much for our daughters to become and to be. All right, so hope this serves you. Let's talk about this over at the land of social media. And with that said, I am sending you off with so much and many blessings. May you live fuller and love deeper, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.